Hello one and all, I am the Tao Tactician and thank you for tuning in. This is one of my very first countdowns and the topic with it is the video games during the year of 2013. With many releases on various consoles along with the PS4 and Xbox One having their official releases in November, I had taken a liking to some of these games on this list. Now, a couple rules. The first thing you should notice is the title is Top 10 Games I Played in 2013. This means that some of the games that appear on this list might not be from the year 2013, but rather I should have played it for the first time this year. Second, one per franchise rule. Third, for some of these games I have not fully completed them as I am near the end or either halfway through. If you have your own favorite games that were played during this year, then feel free to make your own list in the comments. Let's roll. Atlus has been known for making some great games, but one franchise of theirs that I find incredibly underrated or not talked about more often, amongst others, is the Super Robot Wars franchise. Honestly, it's hard to miss a game this cool like Endless Frontier. So, you're a bounty hunter who happens to have an android companion and are searching through an old ship. Eventually, said pair meets a princess of the Nanbu clan, Kaguya Nanbu. That's basically all I'm giving you story-wise, because the rest becomes much more interesting later on. The gameplay is something very unique unlike other RPGs I have played. It takes a page out of Namco Cross Capcom and focuses on more timed button presses, which discourages button mashing and is focused on juggling enemies in the air to cause more efficient damage. If there's one thing I can definitely take out of this game, it is one of my favorite protagonists in video games, Hacken Browning. His whole character is something that I greatly love. He's a cowboy in space with custom rifles, great English thanks to his VA, and his personality, dear god, that personality is just awesome. Think of him as a Japanese Iron Man complete with snark, chivalry, and slightly raunchy comments. However, one quick note. I'm lucky I got this from my cousin because this game is expensive. If you want to get the game, you better be lenient with your money. Check anywhere online and you'll see what I mean. Howdy ho, a Suda51 title. Hey, wee dude, I must thank you for recommending this game last year because this was a ton of fun. If you watched his list from last year, you should know what this game is about. But if you must know, a girl by the name of Shoko Azora as the president of New Japan fights with her giant mecha to defeat an organization that is turning the entire state of Japan from its natural green to an industrial wasteland. There are 5 stages in this game and you have the same objective except for the last one. That objective is kick their sorry energy stealing carcasses to the next dimension using the power of nature. The gameplay is surprisingly fluid despite how awkward the controls are at first glance, but like Kid Icarus Uprising, you'll get used to it fairly quickly. There isn't really much I can say for gameplay other than a couple side missions and unlockables for completing certain objectives. Said unlocked content is actually more backstory in the game, which adds a lot of depth to a certain game like this. So yeah, thanks to WeDude, I have a great reason to like this game. Trust me, he's a very good countdown maker. Although, I must really question why the hell this game got a PS3 visual novel sequel where Shoko isn't even the main character. Japan!
Project Cross Zone.
Let me just say here that the game's mixed response was kind of uncalled for. To be honest, I've waited a long time for this game to get localized when I first heard of it, and when I got the news, I was on board to play this game. Some of the criticism that this game gets is completely justified though. The negatives are as follows. Tediously long map sessions, always making sure to take an hour of your day to play it, repetitive fights, horribly long chapters, story that is quite hard to follow at times, and a battle system that is also quite repetitive. But I'm gonna be honest, those factors sometimes keep me wanting to play. I'm genuinely interested in the story where they managed to pull off any kind of scene in this game. Whether it be heartfelt, unsettling, or sometimes even comic relieving, they're all there. Not to mention, the gameplay is quite engaging. It uses the same combat system as Endless Frontier, but to a greater extent. Not to mention, flashy as all hell. The cast of characters, however, sells it. To name a few, we got Hacken Browning, Dante, Ryu, Frank West, Chris Redfield, and even the glorious return of Mega Man X. The dialogue that the characters have are also just either witty or thrown in with inside jokes from various franchises. If there is ever a crossover that I just adored aside from the ones in fanfiction, this is definitely my favorite. Still mad that we didn't get Sonic representatives in this game though. When they said they were making a Luigi's Mansion sequel, I was pumped. A good reason why I still bought a 3DS. Boy, this game was not disappointing in the slightest. The gameplay has been completely reworked and retains the puzzle solving aspect, but just adding a couple bells and whistles to the original. Although I would be lying if I said I played the first game. But in spite of this handicap, I found the gameplay relatively flawless. I wouldn't say it's flawless entirely though, a certain boss taking the ever-living hatred out of me, but still, the ghost capturing sequences, the hidden gems, the boos, and even some of the other boss fights were fun. The online multiplayer is also fun, as long as some people don't abandon their gaming sessions. Seriously, does anyone play this online with random people without leaving the room? When I first heard of this game being a part of Project Rainfall, I was very hyped. Although at the time I bought the game, I also became skeptical with what was going to happen. This game is a hack and slash dungeon explorer with a time limit based on where you are. Pandora's Tower's gameplay at first glance was what made me so skeptical, especially considering there were a total of 5 endings to unlock based on the relationship value meter or affinity. It was especially difficult to get used to the first time around because it meant that a large amount of dedication and backtracking would prevent me from progressing too far. Oh yes, I nearly forgot about the story. It's basically a reverse Beauty and the Beast, except you get to go slaying monsters for your love interest Elena, who has to eat their leftover remains and heart.
To gain their courage, their rich, tasty courage.
Actually, it's to make sure she stays human. And if you want to get an S-rank ending, you better be getting the good flesh from your foes and treat Aaron's potential spouse well. Speaking of which, let's talk about that potential spouse. Sure, her personality's a little annoying, but if you can get past that, she's pretty darn cute. Except for when the game gets pretty damn unsettling. Like seriously, this is one of the most unsettling games I've played!
Objection!
I'm pretty sure I can hear a lot of you Ace Attorney fans cheering right now when this game was slated to be localized after a long drought of Capcom's incompetence. But with this game now released on eShop and Ace Attorney vs. Layton bound to be released sometime next year, we were given a heavy dose of greatness with this game. I had only gotten into Phoenix right at the beginning of this year and had spent a good 10 hours through a few of their titles, but with how much I enjoyed Dual Destinies with a few minor inconveniences, I can safely say that it has cemented my firm as an Ace Attorney fan. There's really a lot of things that I love about Dual Destinies. The 3-dimensional models look fantastic, the animated cutscenes are smooth, soundtrack is up there with many favorite pieces from it, and the story is just absolutely breathtaking and jaw-dropping. But the only thing that I could probably wish they improved was the voice acting. Don't get me wrong, the voice acting wasn't overly terrible, as it had some voice actors that I really liked. The problem is the execution. Some of the scenes just sound overacted, but hey, at least it's better than not putting any real acting of their own. right? This is such a cinematic experience that no Ace Attorney fan should miss. When this game was announced right after Black and White 2's releases, the hype went straight through the ceiling and into everyone's wallets. During the year of 2012, we were hinted about various concepts that were making it into the next game and whatnot. Eventually, a whole year later, the game is released with a whole slew of new things to play around with. New Pokemon, new gyms, a new type, and my favorite part, the Mega Evolutions. My team was a horribly unbalanced mess, but we made it somehow. Customizable trainer, new clothes, dear Arceus, what else can I describe about them? I should give mention to Team Flare, where they are just one brutal bunch despite how much orange they wear. This game definitely lived up to its hype.
Playtime is over, Hedgehog.
You know how long I've been waiting to play this game? Quite a long time. So when I got this along with the Deadly 6 bonus content, I was excited to play. Now, like Project Cross Zone, this game got criticized heavily, receiving mixed scores on the Wii U and 3DS as a result. To that I say, those claims seem to be justified, however negligible when I was playing the game. The controls worked perfectly fine, only a rare chance of some minor inconvenience when I was playing the game, and I had a good feel for controlling Sonic while speeding through the levels. Okay, the parkour system implemented may not feel the same nor be as functional when I happen to be going off random cliffs more often than not, but sometimes it was a saving grace and I loved it. The level design and art style to this game are just amazing. I sometimes get too caught up in the details that are passing by me to notice the really important parts. This is by far one of the greatest looking Sonic games I have ever played and definitely one of the best. Levels are well designed, soundtrack is properly orchestrated, and the voice acting, while a minor part of the game, is also very well done. It doesn't sound overacted like Dual Destinies. This was a fan-freaking-tastic game. I love RPGs, and this one is no exception. The last story is a spiritual successor to the Final Fantasy RPG games and the second title of the Project Rainfall games that wanted to be localized. The gameplay isn't like any standard RPG. This involves you running headfirst into battle with some strategy, the ability to command your comrades in the battle to ward off others, and even doing some fantasy stuff with your attacks. There's also character customization, a variety of weapons to use, and even a great love interest and relationship inside this game. Just putting it out there, this game has a great love story and action. Look forward to a boss list from this game quite possibly soon. Fire Emblem Awakening. This was definitely the game I had wanted the most, and played the most throughout the year. A total of over 100 hours played, and the main game characters and children recruited. The story's kinda crap, but it's decent at best. However, the main thing that has kept me playing thus far through the entire thing is more of the little details that keep my attention. Let's start with the avatar that anybody can make. He's the whole reason I call myself the Tao Tactician, because he's a great character despite what crap the story gives him, but his actions are also quite awesome. The cast of characters that are recruitable are also awesome in their own right. We get guys like Sir Henry Motherfucker, the character that inspired Simon Blackwell, and even the Heavy, complete with a thick Russian accent.
Jigging is up. Move on to get along, eh? Now to face Maker, Gregor Smash.
If there's a character that I would like to take out of the experience, it would be Tharja. I don't care for Tharja, and I only had her for pairing her and Henry up. In any other case though, this game was great. Sublime gameplay, decent story, amazing cast of characters, and the soundtrack, just freaking amazing soundtrack. I'm the Tao Tactician, and Fire Emblem Awakening is the best game that I have played out of 2013.